So let's start off starting. All right. Snap, man. Yo, what's good? What's good, guys? Yo, honestly, there's some stuff to go on today. Let me get some stuff to go on, man. I've been getting in arguments all day with people about the NBA and whatnot. So, so I'm gonna start off with this little question first. I'm gonna start off with a question first, right? Would you rather have 5 rings, right, as an NBA player? Would you rather have 5 rings but no Hall of Fame, or have no rings and be in the Hall of Fame? Right. So when you think about this, think about the ones with no rings that are in the Hall of Fame: Allen Iverson, Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, Reggie Miller, um, CP3. Like you could go recently, Carmelo. Like, would you rather be those types, or would you rather be somebody like a Robert Horry? Would you rather be a Steve Kerr? Would you rather be Danny Green? Because we know Danny Green ain't going in no Hall of Fame. But would you rather be those players instead? So it all depends, right? So I was getting an argument with this guy, and I said I would rather have my legacy be no rings, straight Hall of Fame. Right? Hear me out. Hear me out. Why? So when you play the game of basketball, there's only so many people that ever have ever played that get into the Hall of Fame, right? We have seen role players literally be lost in history, right? Let me give you a huge perspective. Let me give you a huge perspective real quick. The 1981 Lakers, well, if you go 81 to 82 season, Bob McAdoo, Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, those guys are all in the Hall of Fame, right? Which is why you remember the team that won, even though it was the Lakers that won, you only remember those 3 guys, right? I think it's 4. I think it's McKinley. McKinley, I think, was another one. But so we could go off that 4, right? Name the rest of the roster without Googling them. You can't. Unless you actually watched their games, you cannot, right? Even though that team went on to win, what? Yeah, it was 5, right? That team went on to win 5. They're not in the Hall of Fame, so you don't remember, right? You don't know those people because the Hall of Fame is the end all be all. It's basically we can't tell the story of basketball without you, right? And the guy I was arguing with, he don't get me wrong, he knows his basketball. He knows his basketball. But the guy I was arguing with was basically like anybody who chooses basically the no rings argument is basically like they don't want to win. Like they're not winners. Like this new age, this new generation, da da da, are kind of weird because they don't want to win, and it's like that's not what it is, right? And I compared it to how I was in track in high school and college. In high school, I dominated track, right? I always came home with a gold medal every single year, right? But I held no records for the school. History has those guys that hold the records no matter what, right? They hold the records. Only people that will remember what I did are the people that were there in the moment. You can't go back to I think I graduated 2013, so you can't go back 8 years and go, you're dunk dominated. Nobody cares, right? Everybody knows who came in first place and stuff, but nobody cares, right? But college though, college, I failed to get first place in my conference. I failed. I always got either third or fourth in my conference, right? We was D2, mind you, but I always failed to get first, second, and third. Always. But my name is in the history books for the college, right? My records stand to this day still. Nobody has beaten my record. Nobody has come close to beating my record. So when people go, remember Dunk when you beat all them records, I could say that. They could look me up. They could Google me easily, right? But when it comes to just winning, it's like, and it's not like Hall of Famers who didn't get a ring weren't trying to win. The whole point of them being in the Hall of Fame was that they tried to win. They were individually great, right? It's just that they failed. That's all it is. So you can't knock that against them. But like that's something that touches my mind. So QC, I see you say you would rather be Hall of Fame. So like that's just how it is. I'd rather have a huge legacy. I'd rather have people 20, 30, 40 years from now talk about me rather than, oh, I just got my titles and now they're just on my shelf. Like what? I can't brag to my children and say, yeah, because of me, we won the title. Like I can't do that. I averaged five points a game. Like I wasn't much. I didn't do anything particular. But that's just how it goes. Hold on, guys. I will be right back. Sorry, had to handle a situation. Let me see. It's funny because Bill got the most rings, but they always say how much rings MJ has over people. So do rings measure your legacy or not? Or only with MJ? Because if rings matter, Bill the best. See, here's the issue. When people talk about MJ being the best with rings, right? Is the fact that MJ has six, right? MJ has six, and two sets of them are three peats, right? Only four teams in NBA history has done a three-peat. MJ did it twice, right? That's his off-rip. Then it's the fact that MJ is also the Finals MVP six times, which is why you can use the ring argument because of the fact that MJ got six rings while also being the most important player hands down on the team, right? Magic doesn't have five Finals MVPs. Uh, Bill wasn't even the most important person on his team, right? Bill was averaging like close to 15 to 18 points in an era that had as much scoring as now, where the ball on average was in the offense's hand like 20 seconds, not even 20, 15 seconds, and then bam, you're back on defense. But that's why when people use the ring argument, LeBron fans, and it's not all of them, but LeBron fans only hear, oh, but MJ only has six rings, right? And they're only thinking about the quantity. It's not the quality of all six of those rings, right? People who say Bill's the best because of the six rings, right, is what you're doing is you're not giving context to those rings, which is I have a segment on it, later on, but we have that. So besides that, let me just go over these real quick for the week. So Isaiah Thomas scored 81 in the Pro-Am. The Lakers are now looking towards signing him, right? Honestly, everybody knows the Isaiah Thomas situation. The Celtics did him dirty. But people don't know is that Isaiah Thomas denied a contract with the Celtics before he left, right? He wanted more money. He wanted the Supermax. The Celtics didn't think he was worth the Supermax, right? So he denied it. He denied the contract they wanted to give him, and then he gets his injury, and Kyrie is available. Kyrie is available in the moment. QC said, they saying MJ did what everyone can do, but he never shot behind the line like Curry. See, here's the issue when you say that, QC. MJ shot the ball behind the line less than 2 times a game. Curry shoots behind the line about 7-8 times a night, right? You can't really compare the two, which is why a lot of people are we're calling Steph Curry the best shooter of all time. But a lot of people won't give him that title because Ray Allen, who is basically second place, still did not shoot as much as Curry does behind the line. You get what I'm saying? Same with Klay Thompson. Well, not Klay. Klay kind of rolls in with that. But when you look at the greatest shooters, their attempts are about 1/4, 1/5, 1/6 of the amount that we see with Steph Curry. So when you talk about threes, you gotta remember MJ didn't come into the league with shooting threes. People fail to realize this. The MJ that mostly everybody knows, the mid range, the finesse, the shooting, the fadeaway, all that stuff, that is 99 post retirement MJ. So that's 94. My bad. That's 95. 96, 97. When he started to get old, he started to learn how to finesse, right? This is the same MJ style that Kobe emulated coming into the league, right? When he was watching MJ stuff, that's what he emulated coming to the league. Before that time, MJ was just a high flyer with a good mid range, right? That's how it was. But nobody could stop MJ. MJ would go against the big men and still dunk on him, right? That was before the first retirement. That was before he had all the energy, all that stuff. When he couldn't do it no more, that's when you start to see finesse MJ, post moves MJ, all that stuff. That's when you start to see it. So let's go into it. So Dennis Schroeder, right? Everybody knows this man's situation. So Dennis Schroeder denied, and this is kind of compared to the IT situation in which he also denied a contract extension, right, by the Lakers. He got denied 84 million, right, and nobody wanted him anymore. Like nobody wanted because he felt he was worth 84 million. Lakers ain't trade for him. Lakers ain't sign him back. Lakers ain't sign him back. So what happens? Now he got to sign with the Celtics for 5.9. You know, he turned down a 4 year contract because he wanted to bet on himself. And to be fair, I think in life you should bet on yourself, right? In the NBA, not so much, right? All these people, you know what happened? All these dudes saw the Last Dance and saw what Scotty did. Scotty signed for a contract where he was worth more, and everybody was like, I'm not trying to be like Scotty, and then look what Scotty did. See, they done fucked up, dog. Um, but yeah, so definitely, ugh, ugh, definitely a thing for him. But I think he might be a good, if he stays healthy. I think he will be a good bench player for the Celtics, or at least a starting point guard, in my opinion. Could be a starting point guard. A lot of things have been happening. The summer league has started. LiAngelo Ball is balling right now for the Charlotte Hornets. At one point, he scored 16 in 16 minutes, so that's been pretty good. But let's see if he can actually stay in the league, man. Because last year they didn't even give him a chance to suit up in a game. Um, uh, Udonis Haslam is now the oldest player in Heat history. He's now 41. He now ties, I believe, with Tim Duncan and John Stockton with 19 seasons under one team. You gotta love the loyalty the team did. They're kind of. I'm telling you now, the teams are kind of smart because they're paying him 2.2 mil a year just to be on the roster, right? But if he was a coach, he would earn like 3, 4, 5, 6 mil. Like they don't tell you that, right? So everybody's looking at it as, oh, they keeping their old head. They looking out. They looking out. They just trying to get stay with the money. Luka Doncic signs a 5 year, $207 million extension with the Mavs. So it's clear as day, Luka's staying with the Mavs. The team has to build around him at this point now. You can't sign for that much longer and legit just not be built around, right? So the only thing about Luka is he may end up in a LeBron situation in which the team will try to build around him but fail, right? But the one thing I always tell people though is that you have 30 teams and only one of them can be a champion. So when your team doesn't win but you go deep in the playoffs, that's not a failure to me, right? That's not failing, right? Even though the goal is the chip, it's not failing in regards to having the right roster around you, right? A lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people think, oh, they don't have help. They don't have help. Like Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard doesn't have help. But just literally just last year, the year before, he was in the Western Conference Finals. Like he was chilling. Nobody was saying he ain't have help then. But once he got eliminated by a better team, they're like, he needs more help. Like, no, that's not how it goes. Hey, y'all gotta get rid of this whole I need to win now, and if I don't win today, that means it fails today, and y'all gotta get rid of that. QC says ready for the big LaMelo Bridges duo. Facts. Definitely good replacement for Dirk. That's also facts. Luka. Here's the thing about Luka though. The only knock I have against Luka is that he takes too many contested shots when his dudes are open. Like it's kind of like Kobe-esque, but the thing about Kobe doing it is Kobe is a threat. Like he was a threat, right? So you double team Kobe at the line because you know he's gonna take the shot, but you also feel like he's gonna make it, right? But Luka will take a contested shot in his face, right? Two hands in his face will take a contested shot, and the issue is people like Porzingis get blamed for not doing much. The amount of times you guys will see Porzingis actually open right next to Luca, and Luca takes a contested shot was ridiculous. If you go back and watch the season, but everybody loves to blame Porzingis. Everybody's like calling Porzingis a D leaguer and all that stuff, and it's like, no, this man was literally open for majority of the series, and he doesn't get the ball. You know what I'm saying? Porzingis was always a shooting big man, and even on the Knicks, he was a shooting big man. And when he signed with the Mavs, they put him in the role of a shooting big man, and then they just stopped. You know, so that's happened. So that's just my notable things for the week in the NBA. Then I'm gonna go into top 10. All right, and this is so it's two lists, right? And your list will differ depending on you, right? So there's two lists I have. It's top 10 greatest players of all time and top 10 best players of all time, right? So greatest is meaning that they're not only good, but their legacy, their titles, all the accolades, all the stuff, all that's considered. Which is why like people put MJ as the best, then they'll have LeBron second, then you can go Kareem and stuff like that. So, so I'm gonna simplify it. Let me go top five. I'm gonna go top five for each one, and I'm gonna explain each one why. Right. So, in regards to greatest, right? Number one for me, everybody knows MJ, right? Uh, this is something I consider. This is something I consider with people, and in regards to your era and things like that, is do you have an advantage or disadvantage in your era, right? And hear me out. In the '80s, not even just the '80s. If you go from the beginning of basketball to about 90, 91, the league was run by big men. Right, the paint controlled the game. Right, guards were not the leading force of it. Right, which is why you see people don't realize this. Bird was 6'10". Bird was 6'10". Bird was tall. Right, when he came into the league. Magic was 6'9". Right, Magic was tall. Right, when you look at the '80s and you see the rosters, those are some big ass rosters. They didn't have no short players. Right, if MJ was on one of those teams, bro, he'd be a short dude compared to everybody else. Right, but this is why I say it. So, advantage and disadvantage. It's a big man era that he played in between '80s and the '90s. So he's at a disadvantage. The three line wasn't utilized yet. Right, the three line wasn't utilized. So three line being utilized just means that like if you made one or two threes a game, you were considered a sharpshooter, right? Which is why Steve Kerr got his little sharpshooter thing. But if you put Steve Kerr in a situation where he got shoot with today's game, he's not doing it because this is why I hate when people say, "Oh, he had Hall of Famers like Steve Kerr," and I'm sitting here like, bro, did y'all not know Steve Kerr only averaged 8 points with the Bulls? What are you talking about? 8 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, bro. That's a Hall of Famer talent right there. That's what you talking. That's what you comparing, bro. Right. But besides that, he developed. Right. He went from not trusting anybody to trusting people. So you see the growth. Then he became the utmost leader. And then you see that he three-peated twice. Finals MVP six of those times, for all six of them. And he created, in my opinion, what's called the Jordan effect, right? This is what the Jordan effect is. It's a team that's great. They just so happen to lose in the finals, right? Against a top player, right? Now hear me out. The Lakers that faced Jordan in '91 were a great team. I think they were second in the West, and Magic Johnson was second in MVP votes. But everybody says James Worthy was hurt. Magic wasn't Magic anymore. Da, da, da. And it's like, so y'all just gonna lie, right? Magic was playing some of his best ball. He just didn't have as much assists as before. He had the points though. He had the rebounds though. He just didn't have as much assists. But you can accumulate that to Kareem getting out, right? Then you have James Worthy. James Worthy was only hurt one game, and they were already down 3-1. So what are you talking about, right? So that's already out the window. Charles Barkley and his sons. People always talk about, oh, it was just Charles by himself. So we just gonna like discredit Kevin Johnson. Like y'all just gonna do that? Like how you gonna discredit a top talent at the time and just say like, nah, it was just Barkley by himself? Doesn't make sense. Then you got the Portland Trailblazers with Clyde Drexler. Clyde was basically second to only MJ, right? It was when it comes to the shooting guard position, it was MJ, Clyde. So how the fuck are you gonna call them no competition? Then you got the Supersonics with the Glove and Sean Kemp. Nobody was stopping them in the season. They were a 60-win team. Then you have the two Jazz teams that went first of all beat a super team in the Houston Rockets. Right, it was Hakeem, Charles Barkley, and I believe Clyde as well. Right, like you got all them people together, and y'all want to say they're bad, right? They're not all time teams. Those were all time teams. Those were 60-win teams, yo. And y'all discredit them because they lost. You know, MJ had no comp. It's like, what are you talking about? You know, but I digress, right? So that's I got MJ at number. Oh, and then it's the diversity. It's like MJ hit the gym when he was getting beat up by the Pistons, right? He hit the gym. He's like, I gotta get stronger, right? Da, 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 da. This is where legacy comes in. People, this is one of the only times where fans acknowledge that this man lost early, right? That's what I think. Like I always say, whoever he has, if you're number one, LeBron or MJ, there's no wrong answer, but it's like you have to put in context because context matters, right? You have to put in context. If you say that, oh yeah, you know what's the worst thing when it comes to the Pistons? They said MJ didn't beat the Pistons until they got old. The oldest person on the Pistons was 31. Keep that in mind. Right? We call Steph Curry and all these players out here still in their prime when they 34, 33. But Isaiah Thomas wasn't on prime 31. Nah, see, you get a lot of excuses. So that's why I got MJ. Number two is LeBron. Of course, it's LeBron, right? The reason why I say it's LeBron is the fact that even though I may disagree with some of what LeBron does, he still got the shit done, right? He still gets it done, right? When he went to Miami, the reason why it was unfair to other people was because LeBron was that good, right? I mean, you did have D Wade and Bosh and everybody join up, but LeBron was that good to make it unfair, right? You gotta give credit where credit's due, right? LeBron was the best player in the East, in my opinion, the entire time. Right? He was the best player. He was the best player in the East outside of T Mac. When T Mac was on the Magic, I would give it to T Mac. But then when he went to Houston's Western. But yeah, so it's definitely Bron post 2006. D Wade was 2006. After 2006, it was definitely Bron. Then when he goes to Miami, I mean, he still has to perform. Remember that. And 2013 Bron is the best version of Bron I've ever seen, because this was a Bron who actually played defense too. He was putting up big numbers, but he also played defense. That's not what you see in old Bron and young Bron. Young Bron would walk around everywhere, but people still can go in on him. Old Bron, people get misled. Old Bron is gonna chase you down. That's what happened. That's defense, but that's not really on ball defense. That's not, what I'm saying. Chase downs are part of defense, but at the end of the day, those are blocks, right? So there's that. Four Finals MVPs in four, but the biggest thing for me is he did get to the finals. I think he's at 11 now. I think he's at 11. 11 times. He's been to the finals 11. Hold on. Let me see. Spurs, OKC, Spurs, OKC. Who they beat on the second time? Dallas. Yeah, Spurs, OKC, Dallas. Um, Spurs. Warriors. Heat. So yeah, we can go 10. I think it's 10. He's 4 out of 10. And I see. To me, to go to the finals that much is already an accomplishment, right? Don't get me wrong. To go to the finals that much is an accomplishment. The issue I have is that to go into the finals that much and lose 60% of the time in the finals, that shows that you dominated your conference, but you did not dominate the NBA. Right? That's what it means to me. Right? If you dominate your conference and then lose in the finals, that means that the West was the hard part. Now, don't get me wrong. He went to the West. Right? He went to the West, but he didn't win with the roster that everybody wanted him to win with. Like, people were blaming that he was hurt, but people gotta remember how many games he actually did miss. Right? They missed the playoffs completely. So that's that. But it's the fact that when he went to the West, his roster had a complete change, right? It literally became what we saw with the Heat and the Cavs, which is what people weren't talking about, right? What people wanted to do with Braun is say, listen, go to the West, join any team, go to the West, and I want to see you do the same thing, right? If he had one with Lonzo, Josh Hart, Brandon Ingram, if he had one with those dudes, nobody can talk shit about him just dominating the East. Nobody can talk shit. But it's the fact that he got AD, who was the third to fourth best player in the conference at the time, right? He got AD. He got Dwight Howard. He got Rondo. He got who was the other one? Uh, I forgot. I forgot his name. But he had those players, and it's like, okay, now we're just in a whole mix-up now. Then you have the bubble situation happen. Then you go against the Heat, who were missing their two scorers. So you had Jimmy that had to average a triple-double just to do something, right? Like, this is where context matters. But again, end of the day, you still didn't get shit done. Right? I can give you a shortcut all you want. You still gotta take that shortcut. Danny Green, see, Danny Green in the Hall of Fame, so I barely know. See what I'm talking about? So that's why you got to give LeBron credit, is just the fact that he still had to get shit done, and he got shit done. Right? You can get mad all you want with how he did it, but he still got shit done. So you can't knock that. Now there is controversy though. When did LeBron pass Kobe in greatest of all time? No, nobody truly knows, because somebody started it in 2012 when he won his first title. Everybody just started having him skip Kobe, which was pretty weird. I don't even remember when he did it, but you know. But going on to number 3, it has to. So for me personally, I would put Kobe, but in regards to basketball and greatest, you would have to put Kareem. Kareem is the most winningest player of all time in regards to not the NBA, but the history of basketball itself, right? From high school to college to NBA, Kareem has won on every level, right? You just can't deny that. He was also top scorer all time. You know, he has his longevity as well. Again, the context matters though. Wilt was not dominating without a guard. Just remember that. He had the big O, Oscar Robertson, who's arguably a top 5 point guard of all time, to win a chip. That's the only way he won the chip. And then right after the big O, he gets Magic Johnson, who is the top point guard of all time. So he had 2 top 5 point guards of all time and got his chips with them. And from Magic Johnson's Finals MVPs, you see why Kareem wasn't always the most important guy, right? Even when Kareem went out in one of the Lakers finals, Magic stepped in and played center, right? Like a lot of people don't realize that. So out of obligation, I put Kareem as number 3 of greatest. Remember, this is greatest, right? This is legacy and stuff. Number 4 is Bird. Bird came in as a savage, right? Like, I can't speak too much on Bird, but Bird came in as a savage. He challenged that Lakers team, right? It was basically 4 Hall of Famers against 4 Hall of Famers, but what a lot of people don't realize is before they signed Bird, the Celtics were in a slump since Bill Russell. When Bill Russell retired, the Celtics were one of the worst teams in the league. People don't realize that. So when they signed Bird out of nowhere, they start getting to finals and thing again. It's like, oh shit, like what happened? Because this kid, this milkman, I don't know, he was a garbage man actually. He was a garbage man part time. This garbage man comes in and starts shitting on everybody. Right? I think Bird doesn't get as much credit as he can because he's white though. A lot of people will discredit him because he's white, while a lot of people actually boost him up more because he's white. Right? Um, number five, I'm gonna say Magic. Magic was a monster. The Showtime Lakers became Showtime because it was Magic's team. It wasn't the Showtime Lakers because of just what they did. It was literally just because Magic was on there, right? The biggest smile of the league, the face of the league, all that stuff, right? And Magic was so relevant again with the story with Kareem is that he could play 1 through 5. He's actually a player that actually played 1 through 5, right? You see what you don't want to hear when people say that is, oh, this guy can play 1 through 5. Listen, if they only played 1% of the time in their career, they're not playing 1 through 5, right? Magic actually played 1 through 5, and it wasn't even close. But Magic did have a bad left hand, so a lot of people did go past Magic. So he wasn't really the best defender, right? So that's my top 5 greatest. It's LeBron. I said LeBron. It's MJ, Bron, Kareem, Magic, no Bird, then Magic, right? But if we go on the best now, this is the best, right? This is why I say this, right? First one's MJ. Enough said. Second is Kobe, right? And this is why I say it's Kobe. Kobe is just like MJ, offense and defense. Right? He doesn't take breaks on defense so he can score 81 on offense. He doesn't do that. But the biggest thing for me that points it out is the fact that the closest thing we have ever seen to MJ in regards to greatness, in regards to play style, in regards to status, in regards to tendencies, all that stuff, was Kobe. So how does it make sense that the guy from number one is that much further? The guy from number one is that much further from the guy who should be his number two. That makes no sense. They were so identical to a T, right? The only thing is Kobe had a better long range than Mike, but Mike had a better post game and mid range than Kobe did, right? After Kobe, this is what I'm gonna say, Bron. Right? End of the day, Bron's a freak. Right? He's a freak of nature. This man is 6'10", with the skills of a point guard. Right? And he's improved his 3 shooting, which for me boosts him up a bit. But his free throw shooting is still pretty trash. And they're called free throws, bro. They're free. Number 4, though. Number 4, I'm gonna have to go, and this is just overall skill. Tracy McGrady. If it wasn't for injuries, Tracy McGrady was on par, if not better than Kobe. Right? That's why they were rivalries, and that's why they were friends. He was basically Kobe if you gave him Kawhi's hands, and it was no question. T-Mac is right up there. Right? 5, Tim Duncan. Now hear me out. Tim Duncan wasn't flashy, right? He wasn't flashy at all, but he got the job done all the time. If you needed 10 points, he would get you 10 points, and you were so bored with how he got the 10 points, you was like, how the hell you get 10 points already? That was Tim Duncan. Right? He wasn't a scorer. He wasn't a rebounder. He was a jack of all trades, master of none. Like he went out there and casually gave you 19, 8, and 6. Casually, right? And 2 blocks a game, right? You casually did it. And again, he did it with the almost sudden. Today's game, you see players dribble 20, 30 times and then spin move and then lay up to get 2 points. Tim Duncan was like, dribble back, bank shot. Like, bro, like like what you just took like 10, 15 seconds to do with all the and stamina. This man just did in one move. Like that's to me is skill. If you're able to do as much as somebody else with less effort. Right. A lot of people will say, "Oh, these players today are more skilled." These players today take more to score, and in an era where offense is key, not defense. So defense can barely do anything. So I think we should look at what we call skill, because because if you put Tim Duncan, MJ, Kevin Garnett, Reggie Miller, and I would say Isaiah Thomas. We could put in Isaiah Thomas. If you put those five, oh, actually no, I got you. It'll be John Stockton, MJ, uh, Bird, Karl Malone, Tim Duncan. Just those five all together. Put those five in a game. They're gonna put up 30 on you before the end of the quarter, and you're gonna figure out. You're gonna ask why that happened. Like you didn't see them shooting threes. That's because every time they got into the paint, I said Bird will start. Every time they got in the paint, they scored 2 points, 2 points, 2 points, 2 points, and we see that in if you look at 2K, for those who play 2K, the team that wins isn't the team that makes the most threes. The team that wins is literally the team that just makes the most shots, right? So if you're shooting threes, let's say we're neck and neck. Say it's 0-0. We got 15 minutes, right? You shoot 10 threes and make two of them. Meanwhile, I shoot 15 twos, mid range and close to basket, and I make 13. I'm winning, obviously. But let's say you're on a roll. Let's say you take 10 threes and you make 5. So you're 50%. That's godly, right? 50% shooting from the three, that's godly. I'm able to take more twos because there's no long rebounds. So I'm able to take more twos, get in the paint, boom. So I should, for your 10 threes, I should have at least 15 to 20 twos. If I score 10 twos, I now have more than you. And that's me at 50%. Right? I'm able to put up more attempts and I'm able to make more. So if you go by the analytics, I still beat you. I'm technically more skilled than you are because I got more done than you did in a shorter amount of time. See what I'm talking about? So there's that. But a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people just say like, oh, the mid range is dead, and nah, fam. Because if you look at this finals that just passed by, the mid range was the one that won the game. It wasn't the three shooting. Right, Drew Holiday and Middleton, when it came to the big moments, they weren't shooting the threes. They were shooting the twos. Right, a lot of people don't realize that. And Giannis was shooting the twos. See, biggest thing. This is where I say context. Right, so this is the context matters moment. When it comes to a person's legacy, you have to include the ups and downs. You have to include the ups and downs. You can put excuses and whatnot, but you got to put the ups and downs. So here's how it is. Earlier this week, or I believe it was late last week, Charles Barkley said that he could not put LeBron ahead of Michael and Kobe because of LeBron didn't have to go through the struggle, right? And a lot of people had an issue with what he said because they think that, oh, Bron wasn't getting beat before, or Bron doesn't have to go through these super teams, or what you call it, or LeBron, or my bad, or Barkley failed to win on his own, and then he failed with the super team. And he failed with the team he was drafted on. So I'm sitting here like, what are you guys talking about? What are you guys talking about? Right. So let me add context to it. Let me add context to it. Number one, nobody expects somebody to come into the league and automatically win a title. They do expect you to be great. They don't expect you to win a title off rip, right? Bron was in the league 4 years when he got to the finals. When he lost to a better team and better organization, but he also did play shitty. If you guys actually watched the game, he did play shitty too. People were calling his team trash. If you watch the games, LeBron's team was not trash. They were defensively built, which is what every team has done up until that point. A defensively built team with a strong scoring main player, right? And you want to know how I know this? All the '90s, it was the Bulls. Jordan was the scorer. Everybody else had to play defense. Scotty gave you about 17, 15. Not Pippen. Rodman only gave you like 5 points. Rodman gave you 5 points, 11 rebounds. But they were defensively built. So let's skip ahead to 99. Skip ahead to 99 with the Spurs. Defensively built team. Tim Duncan and the Admiral are the scorers for that team. Defensively built. Lakers are the exception because Lakers had two scoring champs, right? They had Shaq averaging 30 plus, Kobe averaging 25 plus, right? So that was the exception. Next one is the Pistons, defensively built. The next one is after that, I believe, was the Spurs again, defensively built, basically one main scorer or split off scorer. Spurs again. No, it was somebody who was in 2006. Who won? I believe it should have been NBA champions. Let me see, 2006. I know I'm not tripping. Oh yeah, it was the Heat. I'm tripping. So the Heat, again, defensively built team. Shaq wasn't Shaq. He was still Shaq, but he wasn't Shaq. D Wade pops off, main scorer again. 2007 happens. It's LeBron again, the main scorer, defense of the team, right? Like if you look at the 90s to 2000s, it was all the same thing. You had a main scorer on a defensively built team, right? And then this is where you got to add context to it. People try to compare. Oh yeah, let me finish off with what I was saying. So Bron, 4 years into the league, gets into his first finals. After that finals failure, everybody says Bron is not having help. Bron needs help. Bron's not doing this by himself. Bron's right? There's not a single player in NBA history that was expected to win a ring their first 7 years. There's a reason why your contract as a rookie, right, it extends from 2 to 7 years till you could sign a max. Right? Because that's when you start to enter your prime. That's when you start to win, right? What happens now? Bron then deals with the 08, 09 Celtics. Again, defensively built team, right? What they did was they shared the scoring. So, but nobody on that Celtics team averaged more than 20 points. They don't tell you that either. Right? They think the Celtics were like, oh, they put all these scores together and they're dominating. No. They literally just played defense and then shared the ball. Efficient. That was it. Right? They were literally old heads at the park. You know when old heads at the park are just sharing the ball, they doing these passes, and they just taking efficient ass shots. That was the Celtics. No bull. Then ready? Then he loses to the Magic, who were again a defensively built team or one offensive score. And who did they lose to? The Lakers. Right? This is how it goes. What happens again? They lose to the Celtics again. Right? Sadly, Kendrick Perkins was hurt. Not Kendrick. Was it Perk? I think it was Perk. But they got hurt. So they lose to the Lakers. Right? After that, it was no longer a defensively built league. It was no longer a defensively built league after that point. But it shows you that from LeBron's whole first 7 years before he left, his organization did do him right in regards to the type of team they wanted to build. But hindsight is 2020, and they just didn't. They just didn't end up being what he needed to get over that hump. You know, and then people tried to discredit Charles and say you was drafted with Moses Malone and Dr. J, who were Hall of Famers, who are Hall of Famers. Here's the issue: Dr. J retired 3 years later, after he was drafted. So technically 2 years, because technically the third season doesn't start. So Dr. J was retired 2 years after Barkley was drafted, and then Moses Malone left the team to go to the Washington Bullets 2 years in. So he didn't have help like people were talking about. You got drafted to a great team. They weren't there. They weren't there for long. They were there at most probably one season, 1.5 season, right? They was like, oh, but you failed to get a ring in your finals. Yeah, because he ran into MJ. The fuck? It was like, oh, you failed to build a super team. Da, da, da. It's like, yeah, because he was old. This was, mind you, when Charles went to be a super team, it wasn't dominating the league, Charles. It was I eat donuts for breakfast, Charles, right? Like the Krispy Kreme donuts, right? So I'm seeing all these people discredit him, and I'm kind of looking at it as it's the same thing Shaq does on Inside the NBA. When Shaq starts to lose an argument to Charles, he can't discredit what Charles says, right? So what does he go? You ain't got no ring, Chuck. You ain't got no ring. I told him. I got 3 rings, Chuck. 4 rings. Google me, Chuck. Like, okay, that's cool, but how is he wrong? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, tell him he's like, explain how he's wrong, bro. But people don't do that when they're talking about Charles, right? People don't do that, right? There was a song that said like people talk to Charles Barkley like he's not Charles Barkley, and that's really factual, right? Charles, don't get me wrong, he doesn't know how to say things correctly, but his basketball knowledge is to a T. A lot of people don't realize that. People think he's just some fat, lazy slob. This man is really great at basketball analysis. He's just kind of, he doesn't really talk that fast to to show it out. Uh, so like that's the thing that pisses me off a little bit when I see people like that. It's like, okay, y'all just gonna ignore all the context. Y'all just gonna ignore all the facts behind things and go, yeah, no, this is why that happened, right? This happened. Okay, explain why it happened. I don't need to explain why it happened. It happened, right? Like that's how it sounds. That's like me telling you, you should read Harry Potter. It's a good book. And then you ask me, oh, what makes it a good book? Why recommend it? And I say, it's a good book. Trust me, it's a good book. Tell me what happened. Like, tell me what happens in the book that makes it a good book. Like, tell me, explain, right? Explain, give me context. What's going on? But nobody likes to do that, especially when it comes to sports. Nobody likes to do that. You know what I'm saying? And I think personally, right? Why people talk about the struggle with Kobe and MJ. MJ first came into the league with crackheads, basically. Come on, he was they was in the office. You know what I mean? Do little stuff, right? And The Last Dance exposed that the early Bulls organization did not try to win. They weren't trying to win, right? MJ was out almost the whole season. I think he only played like 17 games or something. And what happens, right? They're like, nah, we gotta sit you, MJ. We gotta put you on minute restriction. We gotta do all this. Like they weren't trying to win. And then also on top of that, people don't realize is until 2003, the NBA playoffs format in the first round was best out of 5, not best out of 7, right? So when MJ was that, what did they say? It was 1-9 without Pippen. Okay, let me tell you the 1-9. If Charles Barkley make it on TV, there is hope for us. But we got to get exposure. But here, let me give you context for the 1-9. The first 1-9, right? So this means he lost three games. First 3 games, he loses to the Bucks. He wins 1 game against the Bucks. He loses to the Bucks. Averages, I believe, about 40. Right? He's averaging about 40 or 30. I forgot which one. The next time he gets swept is to the Celtics. He gets, again, it's just 3 games. 3 games all it takes. Gets swept in 3 games against Bird Celtics, who I think around those years went on to win the championship. The next year after that, he does the same thing. The next year after that, he loses to the Pistons. What was Scotty averaging? 2 points against the Pistons. Right, he was averaging only 8 points for the year. People don't tell you that. People just always like to say MJ ain't win without Scotty, but they don't explain. Okay, what Scotty do? Like, did Scotty come into the league and start snapping like LeBron? Did he come into the league and start snapping like MJ? He ain't do that. His homework was definitely getting done for him. No, that's not it. That sucks. But people don't realize those type of things. People don't like to add context to the situation because one either disproves their argument by itself, or it just invalidates it to a point where they can no longer hold on to it. That's all it is. Which is why, and this is why I feel like it's so bad, so bad when they talk about super teams. It's like we use the word to equate one thing. Right? We use the term super teams to talk about one thing. 3 stars forming up in their prime. That's when we started using the term. Then people started to put it associated with the Spurs. People try to use it with the Celtics. People try to use it with the Warriors. Y'all just gonna ignore all this shit. Y'all just gonna ignore what's happening. Like, y'all just gonna ignore the whole story behind it because honestly, it makes your favorite player look more worse than he actually is. And mind you, I don't dislike any LeBron fan, MJ fan, who else is there? Magic fan, Kareem fan. I don't dislike the fans. I just like the stands, right? This is the stands, right? The stands are the people who will say shit like, and this is why I say this. They will say shit like, LeBron can carry anybody to the finals. Anybody. Which means that Lakers crew he first started off with Lonzo and shit like that, should have carried their ass. Because when he didn't carry their ass, what happened? You get a reaction though. Everybody's like, man, when was Lonzo enough? So that's a lie, right? MJ stands who go, MJ would average 62 when he's in this league. MJ would not average no 62. Don't get me wrong. MJ would average more than he averaged. And this is a guy who has the highest points per game in league history, even before Wilt, right? MJ averages 30.1 points per game, and he was mostly shooting twos. He was shooting twos in a big man era in which he only took 1.4 3-point attempts a game. So if you think MJ is going to score less in today's era with the floor opened up and the non-refereed free throw calls and stuff like that, he's not going to average 35, 36, 37. You wow. Right, you wow. People who say Dwayne Wade was not in his prime when he joined up with Braun. Dwayne Wade was carrying the 2011 Heat. Braun didn't show up. He was carrying the 2011 Heat. After 2011, LeBron and Wade had a talk, and Wade said, "This is your team now. Right? You're the main guy on this team now." And what happened? Wade takes a step back. LeBron takes a step forward. Right? Wade was still Wade. Right? It's just that he took a step back. He's letting Braun do his shit. And what happened? Braun ends up having one of the best years of his career, right? Right? But people don't want to talk about it. People, Wade wasn't Wade anymore. It wasn't until 2014 that we saw Wade actually decline because of his knees. People ignore the context. But yeah. But that's it for me, guys. I think I want to go into a segment. LeChoke, Lagon, out of here. This man, this is our thing. I say Skip Bayless is fucking hilarious with the LeBron nicknames, man. I'm sorry, like this man, this man really like he wasn't there anymore. It was like he was Lagon. I was like, damn, man, damn, bro, that's mad. But I just want to finish it off by saying this one thing. If you criticize a player and still appreciate their greatness, you're not a hater. Of course, numerous times I'm told I'm a LeBron hater because I criticize his moves. You know what I'm saying? But as a, it makes no sense for me to be a hater of his and have him as my second greatest player of all time. It doesn't really make sense. No. So, anytime somebody calls you a hater because you criticize somebody, that's all you need to know to see if they're a fan or a stan. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, I appreciate you guys for coming through, man. Uh, Pretty crazy. But I want you guys to have a good night, and I'll see you next week. Peace.